Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake. My name is Keisha Schmidt. Let's get started. So I chose this earthquake because of this picture. I was 6 years old when this earthquake happened, and this was a picture I saw all over the news, and it's a picture that has been embedded to my brain, and 15 years later, when people say the word earthquake, this is the first thing I think of, even though this is the effect of a tsunami. The tsunami was an effect of the earthquake. So this is some damage here. This is before, and this is tragically and sadly the after. We see a lot of the land has been submerged underwater. We see waste going into the water. It's just a very horrific sight. So this earthquake is also known as the Boxing Day earthquake and tsunami. Happened on the 26th of December, approximately 1 o'clock in the morning. Unless you're super duper technical, then it happened at 00:59 hours. Happened undersea in the Indian Ocean with a magnitude of 9.1, and it only lasted for about 10 minutes. So this earthquake was caused by subduction at the Burma and Indian plates seen here. Burma plate, microplate actually, and the Indian plate. Before the Boxing Day earthquakes, there were a ton of other earthquakes that, smaller earthquakes that occurred. However, scientists didn't really pay too much attention to it because they were just smaller earthquakes and it didn't bring devastating effects like what we saw and what we're going to see more of in this presentation. So it brought forth really horrific effects. I can keep saying that over and over, but it's the truth. Thousands of people were missing. Even in Indonesia, for example, hundreds of thousands of people were killed or missing. Billions of dollars in damages, thousands of buildings destroyed, thousands of people who were tragically displaced, and this brought forth to the next epidemic, homelessness. We had 1 million displaced in Indonesia, and probably 1 million total from all the other countries combined, and they brought forth, it happened that homelessness was sadly the result of all of this because of the amount of buildings destroyed and the damages done. As I said, homelessness was a huge epidemic. The effects and impact of this was incredibly devastating. Looking at this picture here to our left, it just hurts my heart just a little bit. And not to mention there were diseases, a huge disease outbreak of cholera and hepatitis that killed also a lot of people because everything was contaminated and waste, as you're going to see in some of these pictures. And the third slide, as you already saw, was brought forth into the island, into the land, into the country, and pushed back out, contaminating water supplies, medical stuff, and everything else that the people of these countries really need. And one thing I should notice is that this was at least here, 280,000 fatalities. That is because even though it's been 15 years, a number really hasn't been established. So people just say, well, it had to be at least, but sadly that number could be incredibly so much higher. Farming was produced, marine life and produce decreased significantly, leading to what I believe had to be a famine of some sort because people didn't have the resources that they needed. So the earthquake resulted in a devastating tsunami, as I've already mentioned quite a few times. Some waste was repurposed into building stuff. And it was seeing all of this devastation that occurred that led scientists and politicians in these areas to think, well, maybe, just maybe, there might be an issue and there might be climate change. Some stuff that I found interesting to note was that there was a very, 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 very tiny change to the length of day in this area. Like I said so many times, very small change. So this is the anatomy of a tsunami. As you see here, it starts here at the epicenter. The waves start rippling across the ocean. Over here, slowed down as it got closer to land. Before that, it was moving at speeds of 500 miles per hour. Slowed down here, and then the waves picked up to about 100 feet, destroying the lands, tragically. This is a GIF or GIF for those of you who are incredibly particular of how it's said, of the tsunami. Spanned over 1,000 miles and hit most of these countries over here. These are some pictures of impact. Very sad, very tragic, as I've said before. Very devastating effects of the tsunami. Some interesting facts I shall share with you guys is that this earthquake is known as a megathrust earthquake. They occur at subduction zones at destructive convergent plate boundaries, where in this case, one tectonic plate is forced underneath another, caused by a slip among the thrust fault that forms the contact between them. The plate moved, both of those plates moved 1,200 kilometers, and the energy is equivalent to the energy of 23,000 Hiroshima bombs, which is kind of crazy to think about. And there's some other interesting facts here. It's the largest earthquake in 100 years, and Indonesia finally signed a peace deal with a country they were in conflict with for 30 years. So now, shortly after the earthquake hit, Indonesia and all the other countries that were severely hit signed into becoming part of the tsunami detection system, which has been proven successful. In 2012, an 8.6 magnitude earthquake hit the coast of Indonesia, and so many lives were saved because of it. So these were pictures taken directly after the storm and sometime the first week of 2005. And these are those same places 10 years later. So we can see houses are rebuilt, lands are rebuilt and clear, people are driving and living and just thriving again. It's very nice to see that. These are my sources that I used, and with all of that being said, I hope you guys learned just a couple more. I hope it was somewhat entertaining, and I hope, that you can go forth with this information. Maybe not. Let's be real. But yeah, this is the 2004 Indian Ocean